Hello, everybody. This is Purge bringing you guys another replay commentary. This is going to be for a support Queen of Pain game that I played with A9. This was on the stream last Wednesday. We just played about 8 games or something, six games maybe, 8 games. Don't remember. Played a bunch of games last Wednesday. This game was on his stream, so you didn't get to see my perspective unless you watched the replay. So I thought I would make a replay commentary of it in case you guys wanted to check that out. So let me do so. Let's talk about the Dotabuff really quick to talk about Queen of Pain. Now, the important thing to talk about is that Queen of Pain is almost exclusively played in the mid lane. I think I've occasionally seen her played in like a dual off lane or something, or maybe like a safe lane solo and a 1v1 matchup that's good for a pro team. But Quap has pretty much never played support, and when the one of the patches came out that buffed Shadow Strike, I thought that there was some viability for Queen of Pain support. So what I want to focus on is talking about how that's possible, and to do so we have to look at the numbers, which means 10 minutes on this page. Again, full disclosure, I'm sponsored by Dotabuff. Anyways, let's talk about Queen of Pain. She's a range hero. She has very good stat gain, 2 agility stat gain, 2 strength stat gain, 2.5 int. This is all pretty solid. This is a lot more than the average hero. Your base damage is decent. Your base armor is okay, not amazing. Your base attack time is actually higher than normal, which means that your attack speed, the more attack speed you get, means your hero gets more benefit out of it than other heroes do. And your movement speed's about average. So pretty normal stuff. Okay, so let's talk about the skills. This is the important thing about her. She's got a blink, which goes all the way down to a 6-second cooldown, and the range is huge at 1300 range. That's really far. She has Scream of Pain, which does an AoE, screams to do damage to enemies nearby you. It's a 0-second cast point, and it's on a 7-second cooldown, so you can do a lot of AoE damage. Your first skill is the main one that we're talking about here for support, though. It's called Shadow Strike. You throw out a dagger. It does initial damage. The initial damage is 50, 75, 100, 125, and then there's damage per tick. It ticks 5 times, which means that level 1 Shadow Strike does 200 damage, which is a huge nuke for 1 skill point. Level 2 it does 300 damage, level 3 it does 400 damage, and level 4 it does 500 damage. And that goes all the way down to a 4-second cooldown. That's really good nuke for the mana cost, or for the skill points. The problem is that it takes 15 seconds for it to do damage. So it does a lot of damage, but it takes time for it to set in. So it's not like a lightning bolt on Zeus, but it does actually more damage than lightning bolt does. So that's pretty cool. So Shadow Strike is really the ability that we really want to abuse, because it does so much damage for the cast point, for the skill point. That means as a support you can get a lot of value out of it at the start of the game, and if you leverage that well, you can have a bigger impact than you would have normally as most supports. Your ultimate does a cone of pure damage that goes for magic immunity, but it's really high cooldown. But the important thing is you can use it to burst heroes in a lot of different situations. And if we look at her talent tree, almost always you want to get the 10 strength one. Has a higher win rate, basically because after you blink in, you put yourself in danger because you can't blink for a period of time. So usually you want more health to lower or increase your chances of surviving. Increasing your right click damage is not very worth it, in my opinion. Cooldown reduction is pretty much always what pro players get. This game I was playing support, so I felt the need to go for gold per minute because I was getting a little underfarmed. But maybe that was a mistake. 12% is really not that high. It'll put your blink cooldown to like 5.2 seconds or something like that. It could shave off some time. Definitely makes a big difference in Sonic Wave and some other stuff, but I'm not the biggest fan of the numbers, but it definitely gives you a much higher win rate, and it probably pays off. But I don't know, maybe I probably should have gone cooldown reduction. At 20 you have more health, which is almost always the skill grabbed. A 100 attack range can really help though, because you can blink and continue to attack somebody. And then finally at 25 you always get spell lifesteal. You probably won't hit this as a support, but spell lifesteal is just OP. This is 60%, it's blocked slightly. This is 550 AoE Shadow Strike. It sounds cool, but it's probably not worth it. And the reason is because in late game, Shadow Strike is dispellable by any weak dispel, so that means you'll Scepter on yourself, Lotus Orb, that means Manta Style. You can just remove it. If you pop BKB, it's gone. It gets blocked by Lincolns. I don't know if it does when you get the AoE one or not, but it's just not worth it in late game situations to AoE Shadow Strike. Like, if you want to kill creeps, you'll just use Scream of Pain anyways, so what's the point doing AoE Shadow Strike? But once you get 60% spell lifesteal, that doesn't just mean your skills, it also means magic damage dealt from items. So that means if you buy a Radiance, 60% of the damage you do, and this works till creeps as well. This isn't like Octarine, which is more on heroes than creeps. That means that if you have a Radiance, the magic damage you deal is going to be healing you. The place this is more significant, though, is in Maelstroms and Mjolnirs, because once you get these items, and again, you have a low BAT, so you can actually attack really fast, and attack speed items are better on you. you get a Maelstrom or a Mjolnir, and whenever you do a lightning jump, you're lifestealing from it. And that's why the spell lifesteal is so OP on this hero. And it's not as OP as it used to be. It used to be real OP with Blade Mill, because that would lifesteal based on the Blade Mill reflect, but still pretty good. Anyways, so that was a bit of a tangent per usual. Let's talk about support Quap. This is pretty much the build that I did, is like this, and then I went into Scream of Pain because you need the AoE. I did something a little different. I actually did more Shadow Strike, but you kind of want more levels early. The mana cost stays the same, so it's not that big of a deal to get multiples. The cooldown just goes down and it does more damage. Common items, power treads are pretty much mandatory because the tread swapping. You swap to int, cast your spells, switch back to strength. In bottles, very normal as well, because that helps you regen the HP and the mana that you lose by casting spells or fighting. And because you have a blink, you can actually move around very rapidly and easily get runes in relative safety without getting caught. So bottle is pretty standard. Other common items, Orchid is usually the item purchase if you're playing her as a core. I don't think I bought it this game. Aghanim Scepter is sometimes purchased because it lowers the cooldown of your ultimate to 35 seconds and increases the damage a bit. But I haven't seen a pro player buy Ags in a really long time. They almost never do anymore. Veil of Discord is extremely common because it's a very bang for your buck item. Gives you a lot of stats, and you can lower the magic resistance of your opponents, which means your Scream of Pain does more damage, so does your Shadow Strike, and your ultimate does pure, so it doesn't amplify by it anymore. But Veil is very good on Quap as well. 6 armor can really pay off as well, and HP regen. So these are all pretty standard things. Bloodthorn is cool, Yules, BKB, basically just items. Heroes you're good against. Shadow Demon doesn't really counter you that much because you don't really disable, so disrupting somebody only works if I like throw out my ulti and you disrupt somebody when the sonic wave comes through. So you can kind of just kill whoever Shadow Demon disrupts and you can blink away so he can't catch you, which makes sense. But all these other numbers are actually very small, and these percentages are so small that they really don't make that big of a difference. Here's your bad against are heroes that are strong against magic damage, basically. Meepo, high magic resistance. Huskar, high magic resistance. Oracle can save people with his second skill that stops magic and his ultimate. Medusa just has tons of raw HP, so she can easily survive trading hits. Also, when she throws her snake, it'll steal a percentage of the mana on Quap and give it back to Medusa. And because Quap is an int hero that buys a lot of int items, it's going to steal a lot of intelligence. So, kind of interesting. And then some other heroes as well. Most of them are just strong against burst damage heroes, pretty much, or they're kind of evasive. So that's kind of basics about the hero. I'm using Microsoft Edge right now because Chrome wasn't working, and I can draw on the camera, which is kind of nice, or draw on the screen. So here's how I'm highlighting. She has a pretty low win rate, 47.61. It's not amazing. She did see a little bit of play at TI, but not a lot. And I have a below average win rate. My win rate's at about 40%. I'm not super good at mid heroes in the first place, and Quap is definitely a hero that I've kind of had a lot of trouble with in the past. So played 36 games, which is a decent amount. I mean, I play pretty much most heroes, really. I mean, I played all heroes at least 20 times except for like 7 heroes, something like that. So anyways, let us finally go into the game. Thank you, Microsoft Edge. You have been useful today, and I just may use you for Dotabuff sections from now on. Close all tabs. Don't save my changes. I almost stopped using Microsoft Edge. It was really close. Anyways, we're into the game. So, playing support, I randomed, which makes this a little bit OP because I'm able to start boots. The reason I wanted to start with boots is because I already have a mobility advantage over my opponents by having blink. So what I want to do is be able to initiate, harass, stuff like that in an easier way. Especially because at level 1 your movement speed's a little low. These give you 45 movement speed. That means I'm at 295. That's pretty slow for a roamer. And the problem is that Quap actually isn't the best trader. Normally she's really good, but that's because you're playing a mid-roll. You have null talismans, which make you trade well. It gives you more armor, HP damage, all that stuff. But if I'm playing support, my damage is only 50 on average, which is okay, not great. And my armor is pretty weak at 1.7. That's pretty bad. Most heroes are going to have, like, I don't know, let's look at Jug. He's got 4 armor base. He blocks 21% of physical damage he takes. I only block 8%, so me trading hits with Jug is actually kind of bad. So for that reason, I really justify the boots start. So if I was to ever do this in a real game, honestly, I'd probably still want to go boots first. I just require that my support, my other support buys all the items needed.
30 seconds
whereas in this one, I basically get away with having like a smoke, some clarity potions. I think I bought the courier or something like that. So my goal in this game is basically to make some matchups unfair. by spamming dagger on people. And I also want to cause economic damage, possibly get kills. Basically, I'm roaming. Is the play here. Roaming is the name of the game. And honestly, when dagger was changed to be buffed in terms of damage early on, I really thought that Quap would become a support. So my move here is walk in, use dagger, right click. This was the highest MMR guy on their team by far. He used wind run, so I back away whenever he uses the wind run. And then when he doesn't have wind run, I'm just going to come in here and trade with this guy. And the reason this is pretty effective is because when this happens, this allows Invoker to get free last hits. One of the negatives, though, is that Wind Ranger has slightly more armor than me. Not much, so this is actually not that bad. But she can also use wind run to evade my attacks for 3 seconds. So basically, every time that she uses wind run, I need to walk away. And I actually didn't trade very well at all. Every time she used wind run, she got at least 2 free attacks on me. So that went okay, but I'm already out of tangos, which is kind of a bad situation to be in. So now I'm kind of just hanging around to the top lane to see if I can actually harass the Axe. He didn't have his camera in a good place, and he wasn't watching his map, so this is going to be some pretty easy harass here. I asked Sean to rotate over, he gets the stun off, and I'm basically just attack moving as well as I can. I don't get the first blood, but ultimately getting a kill in the lane is really good for us, considering I'll get just a little bit of experience. Start a pull here, and then if all goes well, maybe hit a level 2. So these sometimes you need to do, like, when you're roaming, sometimes you need to do support duties like this, even if it's pretty small. It might just be like a little bit of time, but just doing it a little bit can make a big difference. So if I see that both of these guys are on the top lane, I kind of want to. I was trying to click on Cuddle there to see if he had a mob sword or not, because I wanted to see if he placed it. But I'm waiting over here so that I can steal their bounty rune, because stealing their bounty rune means a approximately 50 gold swing. So we basically, that's like 100 net worth difference for the game, and it also gets me closer to level 2 without having to sap experience from my Sven or my silencer. So now I get level 2. I'm definitely gonna get blink, because blink allows me to reposition my hero this much range, which is super overpowered because I basically have a blink dagger. And now I can instantly get behind this Coddle, and because he doesn't have very much survivability, he's even worse than Quap in that way. Pretty straightforward kill. Again, I didn't get the last hit. Silencer ended up getting it, but that's completely fine too. I maybe should have stolen the kill or something like that, but it was fine. So all this produced a good situation. Cost me quite a bit of mana because it's 110 just to cast Shadow Strike, but it slows a little bit, does a lot of damage, and gives me chances to right click. Grab an Invis rune here, which should let me to get into position. So my goal at this point is probably to kill the Wind Ranger, but she's under tower, so she's pretty much impossible to kill right now, and I don't want to wait. So what I did was I moved over because I know Axe is probably jungling. So my goal here is to basically just kill the guy. I blinked to the high ground because I didn't want to limit the amount of time that I was chasing here, and maybe I ran too far back. I should have maybe stayed closer to him. I also ended up dying to the tower, but ultimately it's completely worth it because I got the kill before I died, which means I got experience. And I also got the solo kill despite having less net worth probably than Axe does. So that should benefit me. And I didn't see if I bought out or not. I think I did buy out before I died. Now instantly upon returning to the lane, she just used wind run. Let me go back and show you that. That's why I blinked for it. Because again, you don't want to blink for it aggressively. I'm actually going to check to see if I bought out before I died. Slow this down. I did. I bought bottle first, which covered most of my reliable gold, or unreliable gold. So I actually didn't lose any gold myself. The Coddle probably got a level from that, or half of a level, but that's not the biggest loss in the world for me. So I heard her use a wind run here, which means that she doesn't have wind run, which means that if I trade with her right now, it's going to be an equal trade approximately. She has 1 more level than me, but considering that I've been roaming and I'm level 3 and my mid is level 4, that means I'm doing a really good job. 2 points in Shadow Strike, longer cast range, more slow, more damage. I see that there's a courier here, and this is probably the easiest courier snipe of my entire life, because it also had a bottle on it. They should have upgraded this, so this shouldn't have been possible. But one of the cool things about Quap is, like, if you have a vision of that courier, it is so easy to snipe it, because I can blink 1300 range again. Like, there's very few heroes that have that kind of mobility. It's like Monkey King or Spirit, but Blink is like the easiest out of all of them by far. So what I'm going to do here is harass the Quap again, because I know that she's used Wind Run. I kind of went the wrong way to right click her. I should have ran this way instead of all the way around. And now I'm going to try to chase, because again, I've got Blink. I don't even know if she has boots yet, to be honest. I almost messed that up. It was really close, but I probably should have right-clicked her instead of casting Shadow Strike. But I was a little bit scared to do Shadow Strike or attack because she might use Wind Run, and then I could miss it if I waste my attack animation. Because I had a very small window to try to get that kill. And now because I have nothing else to do, what I'm going to do is occasionally move around to check for runes and stuff. I knew that upon grabbing a haste rune that I could chase this guy down no matter what, and because I'm ranged and he's melee, that means that I can secure this kill. So what I'm going to do is just chase him and try to use a new dagger in a moment here when his slow runs out. So I rechecked it, he used it, and he's going to end up TPing out of here, which is because he knows that eventually I'll kill him. So that was kind of a waste of time for me, in my opinion. I don't think I should have casted the second dagger. As soon as he started TPing, I should have saved it, because that basically ensured that I wasted 110 mana. But I'm definitely doing pressure here. The Earth Spirit had to mess around with chasing me. He had to teleport back to the base, so he lost 50 gold, and now he has to walk from the base to a lane. And all during this time, my offlane Zeus here is in a 1v1 against a Jug, which is probably not too scary compared to if an Earth Spirit's also there. Looks like they just placed a sentry ward as well to try to de-ward where they thought I placed a ward. And I'm also checking to see if I get a rune here bottom with my bottle, which I did. So this makes me more efficient. That's another 180 mana and 270 health if I want it. So now I'm kind of thinking about throwing a dagger here on somebody else. This is them ganking me. Their blast missed. He should have stunned earlier though. That was kind of sloppy by the Earth Spirit. I don't know why he waited so long. Pop 3 bottle charges. I'm going to be able to grab another bounty rune. And if I'm forcing my opponents to just react to my presence, then I'm creating space. Because now both the Earth Spirit and the Caudal have put effort into trying to kill me. I should have bought these Observer Wards earlier, unfortunately. But finish a Magic Wand. I've got an Infused Raindrop as well, just for passive mana regen as well as damage block. Because I'm actually not very survivable right now. I maybe should have popped the smoke a little bit more back. But I wanted to basically approach mid lane and try to get a kill here. So, I mean, I kind of approached in a weird way here with the initiation, but I'm just going to be really safe because I was a little bit worried about getting shackled. Don't know why this guy rolled in. It was very confusing. Very confusing. Now there's an axe here too. This was just poorly done by them. Now, I was the highest MMR in this game by... Actually, this guy was about... I think he was about the same MMR as me. But I'm definitely the highest on my team. But he was an outlier, kind of like I was. So if I'm dealing with anyone other than Wind Ranger, I should be not making mistakes compared to them. They should be making mistakes over me. Is kind of how it works. Level 4 right now. I think this is a period of time where I had some trouble getting levels. And generally, what should happen in this time period is, if possible, if I'm a support that kind of needs levels, I should look for a lane where I don't have a core that's farming there anymore. So for example, if my Sven goes to jungle and nobody's in the lane, then what I might want to do is take his lane in the safe lane while he goes to jungle. It's very similar to like what Lions will do, for example. So then you can use those like 2 or 3 minutes to get like 2 levels, pick up your 6, and then you can use your 6 for something. But for Quap, I feel like I could do what I needed to do without even needing the levels. The reason I used Blink there is because they weren't moving for the rune, so I knew I could get it because I figured it was bottom if nobody had grabbed it yet. Ah, yes, I remember this moment very well. I kind of wanted to mess with this Juggernaut a little bit here. Used my bottle to heal up. Oop, found a Caudal instead. Using bottle in between attacks here. I didn't think that that would kill me from full HP because it only does 3 slashes, but let's check what his items are. Yeah, he doesn't have anything special, but he got 1 auto attack in right after. I don't know if that was just a freak occurrence, but I also had a 10-stick one that would have healed me for 150, so I probably still would have died because he could have used his spin afterwards. So I was probably dead anyways. The mistake that I made was blinking to the right where the Jug was. I needed to blink left, or I needed to blink north, maybe. Because if blinking into Jug was like the only way I died there, actually. So it was just sloppy. I was kind of worried about getting chain disabled, I guess. But I think I just got overly panicked and I stopped thinking for a moment. So that death shouldn't happen. On the bright side, my net worth is so low that him getting a kill on me is not that big of a deal. If you're the low net worth on your team, then it doesn't matter as much. The downside is that we're so far ahead that they actually did get good gold from my death. He got 263 gold. Maybe the other guys did as well. But we have a disgusting gold advantage right now. And again, the reason of that is because we basically won probably, looks like we went even bottom and we won mid and top is what happened. Again, it's partially because of the courier snipe. We've all gotten 175 gold from me killing the courier. And in addition to that, I solo killed the Wind Ranger, which is their mid hero. I solo killed the Axe, which is their offlane hero. And all of their supports spent a lot of time running around the map trying to kill me. I didn't realize I popped that right away. I was curious. So this is kind of dangerous here. I'm going to use Dagger to slow him down a little bit. Using one last second before I go down. This was actually really costly for me to do this, and I felt stupid afterwards. I was like, why would I go all in just for a regen rune? I didn't really want him to have it, but ultimately it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, I guess it was actually pretty important because I basically wasted my time, is what happened, but I also wasted his time, and his time is more valuable, and his bottle is empty, and he's missing mana. So in a lot of ways, that was actually decent for me, because it's not as important for me to have mana as it is for him. So this is where my skill build is basically deviating from the normal one, in that I got 3 points in Shadow Strike. So this does 400 magic damage over the 15 seconds. I'm just going to put a little bit more on him, so I'm getting kind of scared. This is quite dangerous. Oh no, I'm actually okay, because the raindrop blocked at 50. If I go below 250 health, I could have died there, so that was pretty dangerous. But there's so much slow on Shadow Strike once you level it up a bit. It was really not very threatening. I also put down an Observe Ward here to give some safety to the safe lane. This is where Sean started doing Ancients, because they got stacked a couple times. I did one stack, I think. I'm not sure who did subsequent. But I get 6 from this. I also got the Experience Tome, so now I'm in a decent place level-wise, and I'm going to queue up Treads, because if I get Treads, it's going to make my bottle more efficient, and I will be getting Bounty Runes, because I'm going to be roaming a lot. So at this point, my burst damage is better, not amazing. Using your ultimate should be a, I know for sure that person is going to die situation, basically. I'm just going to bottle Sean here before I take the Bounty Rune, because I have the charges. I lose a bottle charge out of this, but I get a Bounty Rune, so I think it's a pretty good trade. And I'm just going to head to the mid lane so that I can get this experience. That was another problem with going for the regen, is that lane was technically mine, that I could have just sat mid. But instead I kind of lost that opportunity because I ended up going for like a greedy rune, kind of. Wind Ranger, excuse me, is using Power Shot. Kind of expensive for me to use Scream of Pain there, but if it guarantees me an extra last hit, I'm pretty comfortable with it. And at this point, I started putting points in Scream. You might be wondering, why don't I just max Shadow Strike if I'm most of the way there? And believe me, I really wanted to. I really wanted to max Shadow Strike. I'm looking at that cooldown difference, and I'm like, oh, that's half the cooldown. That's really valuable. But I just didn't feel like I could justify it, because at around this point in the game, like the 10-minute mark, it's more like the 12-minute mark and onwards, people don't really lane anymore. The laning stage is basically over. And now it's like Sven AFK killing neutrals because it's really fast. It's like Invoker doing similar things. He's AFK doing Ancients. So at this point, you don't really, like, yes, it would help me in ganking, but the reason I brought up all that is because I need to be able to push waves. If I cannot push waves as a hero, then I cannot, and there's not ganks to have, or if fights don't go very well, then I put my hero in a really shit spot. Because the best way to collect farm is to split push lanes, or to just push lanes at all. Especially if I have a bottle, especially if I have AoE. It's really important. I really wanted to get that because it was worth 18 gold, but too bad. I'm just going to Scream this one. I was hoping to get both, but I didn't. It's time to leave, to get out of here, because it's a little dangerous. I probably should have checked for the bot rune first before going for the bounty, but the bounty was safe, and I needed more heals anyways. I actually didn't even bother checking bot rune. I don't know why. Maybe I felt dangerous. Felt it was dangerous, that is. The other thing I really noticed is it was actually pretty hard for me to last hit here, because I'm just expecting Queen of Pain to have like enough damage, essentially. And while I am sitting mid, I'm just doing my best to compete with Wind Ranger, which means I want to get as many denies as possible. I want to limit his last hits. I need to make sure that I don't end up feeding. pull the creep wave past the tower because I don't want these creeps attacking the tower. Super normal circumstance here. The major difference, obviously, is that he can pretty easily harass me for a huge amount of HP. And at some point I need to go back and heal. So, haven't really accomplished that much in terms of farming while I've been mid. But I'm also a bit limited in terms of mana, so it's not the most surprising thing ever. Especially because I don't have treads. Like, once you get treads at this point, it probably makes my spells, like, 15-20% more efficient. Oh, I did have treads. Sorry, they're on the courier. Alright. Wanted to pressure this jug here, but I had my hotkeys weird here for some reason. I wasn't really sure why, but I don't even think I got the last hit there. Try to get this courier here. Okay, we got that. Best ulti ever coming in. Oh, never mind. Didn't ulti that one. There were some good ultimates this game, let me tell you. We get the kill. It's just really straightforward. If they don't have that many disables, it doesn't feel very dangerous to play Quap support. If they have a lot of stuns, it's really dangerous. But against their heroes, it's not terrible. Like, Wind Ranger can use Shackle Shot, I could die. Axe could, like, Blink Call, I could die. But the benefit of us doing so well was that it just might not happen. As long as I'm careful about my positioning and I don't get shackled to a tree, it's going to be all okay. To be careful about. This is when I realized that I made a huge mistake. I had already blinked. It's a 16-second cooldown, and he used Focus Fire on me. I actually thought I was going to die there. I was like, oh no, I messed up bad. You might be questioning why I'm using the Shrine here. It's because if I don't get full healed and ready to fight at the top lane, then we're definitely losing the tower, and we're losing gold advantage right now, because it'd be a big mistake not to get something done about that. I cast on Agility Treads, which was bad. He's going to go for a teleport. And they still got the tower for free anyways. I think my allies probably should have been there, in my opinion. I'm not able to get the dagger off in time. Did I just miss my ulti? Is that what happened? I'm gonna watch his HP bar to find out. I actually just missed my ultimate. He would have lived with like 110 HP. What I needed to do, I think I needed to dagger him first and then go for that. Then I might have been able to kill him. So I think I had the right, watching it now, I think I had the right idea. When I did it, I was like, boy, did I screw up big time. But I just missed my ultimate, that's all. He probably like ran to the left or something like that. I just really needed to land the dagger. I think I needed to have more patience, like fight him in the open. That way he didn't start tree juking. Because casting the dagger is kind of a long animation. Everything else is easy. You don't have to aim it. Scream in, except for your ultimate, but it's a cone, so you shouldn't miss it, right? So I just needed to land the dagger so that he was slowed, so it's easier to land my ulti, and it does more damage, and then he would have died. He would have had to healing ward, and then I just would have had to chase to kill the healing ward, and hopefully it doesn't Omni Slash me. And that's basically it. So I got some stuff done. I basically made Jug have to leave the top lane, which is okay. Not amazing, but helpful. And now I can start working for some money. So now I have to think, what's the solution item-wise? I don't need a Blink Dagger, because I've got a Blink. I could hypothetically buy a Force Staff, but it's a little unnecessary. So the item I chose to buy was Avail. Like I said earlier, it's kind of it's a normal option. I'm just like looking around to figure out what I want to do. So I'm going to TP to the lane to see if I can get a kill on this guy. We can tell by the map right now that he does have a lane ward. And as soon as I blinked in, I realized that he was running back. I really didn't want to chase. Like if I've already used Blink, it's not worth it. So I'm just going to end up putting some effort into split pushing in moments like these. If there's no fight, what I want to do is push lanes. Because it's not going to take me a lot to do it. It's going to take one Scream of Pain and some right clicks, and I've got an entirely dead wave. And you should get every last hit here. The easiest way to do it is hit the range creep once, let the first creep that gets to my creep wave is going to take all the damage, and I'm also going to start right clicking as soon as I get there. After I hit the range creep once, I'm going to start right clicking a different creep. This is the part where we found literally all their heroes. So I blinked, dropped a ward, and I'm going to run away. That's a common ward in place, so I thought I'd put a sentry down for it. I've actually been pretty good at finding wards lately. So I missed that one, but it's not a huge deal. Also grab the 10 strength perk, if you didn't notice that yet. It's 200 HP, and strength also gives you pretty good HP regen, so pretty straightforward here. And because this wave was kind of dangerous, I don't really want to farm right there for now, so I'll just go to the jungle instead. But if I can push a lane, I would much rather push a lane for gold collection. Checking to see if I need to be here. This is the part where Sean just kind of owned everything, so I'm going to watch him. Does end up getting shackled. In this meantime, I'm just pushing the wave out because I kind of figured that by the time I got there, the fight would be over. In reality, the fight continued for kind of a long time, surprisingly. Sean uses stun to kill that guy. You know what I'm doing? Still pushing the wave. And finally I was like, alright, this fight is still going. Alright, I'll show up. Finally start rotating over. And at this point the fight's over. So use the illusion rune to run that in, see if I can bait some spells out. I don't really have enough mana to go for a full fight here. I could like maybe kill one guy that's low or something, but that's about it. Aha, boulder wasted or something. And nothing to do, so we'll just hit neutral creeps. But again, creep waves are heaps better. I'm trying to think about where to skill. This increases the damage by 90. The mana cost goes up a lot by about 50%. A little bit less than 50%. So, is it worth skilling? I bothered to do it. I don't have the mana for it right now, and because I'm playing a support, not a core, this is one of the negatives, is that your farm level doesn't coincide to the levels that you're expecting. Like if I'm level 12 on Quap, and I was mid, I would have Veil and probably almost another item right now. And instead I only have a Veil, and I just finished it. So if I have Veil and I have like a Lincoln Sphere or half of an Orchid, then I can easily handle getting level 2 Sonic Wave. So when you play heroes and support, sometimes you have to make hard decisions like that. Is it worth it to get extra levels of your ultimate when the mana cost is going to start being like half your mana pool? For supports, sometimes it's not worth it. Crystal Maidens, for example, it's not uncommon for them to leave their freezing field at level 1 just because they just can't handle the mana cost otherwise.
Radiant's bottom tower
Trying to wrap around here to see if we could find the hero, but we can tell by their ward that they saw us coming, which is fine. I gave Sean all my bottle charges here so that he could cast more spells. Because he's just low enough where like 2 or 3 bottle charges would make a really big difference. And now my entire point is I don't want them to know I'm here. Because when you're playing a support and you have an initiation like a blink, you don't want your opponents to know exactly where you are. Now they can easily see me because I'm running around in an area that's going to have wards. So in some ways, my positioning kind of sucked here. On my way to this fight. Don't really want to blink until I get closer because the cooldown's not super low yet. 9 seconds. Just use Scream to guarantee the kill. It's my amazing ultimate. Wasn't it great? Wasn't it worth it? Leveling up my ultimate to get level 2. So worth it, dude. But I did guarantee he died, which was cool. But I'm out of mana again. This is usually the point for Queen of Pains where you kind of want some kind of... This was actually terrifying. And then he just killed everybody. I was a little surprised. But it happened. And then everyone was dead. It was like he blinked into 4 heroes, and a normal player would shit their pants a little bit. But he was just like, I'll just kill them all. And I don't know if that was just because he was like, he's thinking like, I'm owning, I'm really far ahead, or if he was just like, I don't know if I should be scared, so I'll just fight them anyways. Because that's kind of what it felt like to me. I went to TP top because like I was going to push the wave out, but the Invoker beat me to it, so I canceled my TP and I'll just hang out mid. But at this point I definitely need some kind of mana regen item. They're all alive, so we're going to retreat at this point, and I think the place I should have been moving instead of back to base is heading to the bot lane. I could have probably pushed this 1 wave, maybe 2, and by doing so pressure their tower more. So that's the whole purpose of pushing lanes. I want to farm creeps because they're worth way more gold and they're way easier to kill than others. It means my creeps are going to hit their towers, which means they have to show up, and then I can either kill them or know where they are and let that make other decision. But if I don't really have the mana, then I probably don't want to do it fully. This is I just hit 15. I hit the 90 GPM. I think you guys can probably see why I got it at this point. Again, if I'm playing regular mid and I'm doing really well, I'm going to have Orchid Veil right now. And I'm going to have so much mana and mana regen that it really doesn't matter. Like, I don't need 90 gold per minute. I can use that mana to get hero kills, push waves, do all that stuff that I was just talking about. But as a support, who I'm like we're actually crapping on them. This is like a disgusting amount of gold. Like they're actually so stupidly behind. But because I don't have that kind of net worth, that kind of mana regen, all that stuff, it's just easier, I think, at this point, just to grab 90 GPM and let my next item trickle in a little bit faster. Even if once I get a little bit more mana regen, I don't really need an easier way to collect gold. So this is one of the negatives of jungling, especially, is because you'll usually be out of mana by the time that something actually happens on interiors. It's almost always why it's better, why it's important to do like soul rings, things like that. Luckily, nobody really got caught, so instead what I'm going to do is just focus on still pushing waves. This is kind of dangerous because they were just top, so they very easily could be going for that haste rune, same as me. And I'm still trying to finish my Eul's components as soon as I can. But always creep waves if possible. This one's pretty dangerous. If I scream here, I'm not going to have blink, which is why I was acting funny. Because I knew if I used scream, I wouldn't have blink right away. So I had to bottle for a little bit of mana. And then I didn't have enough mana. That's a very dangerous place to take a wave, to push a wave, because it's centralized on the map, so anybody farming here or here could shift. And it's very far forward. Pushing side lanes is a lot safer, basically, than pushing mid lane is. Then I'm just going to use the rest of my mana pool to kill this wave. I should have stacked it. It's a mistake. No reason not to stack this. I'm just waiting for Bounty Rune. Or was I? Bounty Rune just spawned. I wasn't looking at my timer, clearly. So the reason I didn't stack is because I didn't look at the timer. And the reason I didn't get the Bounty Rune was because I didn't look at the timer and realize the Bounty Rune was almost up. But I was finishing Eul's anyway, so I probably got short-sighted thinking like, oh, I just need these 2 camps. And once I finish them, I will have money for my Eul's. So now you're probably thinking, why did I buy Eul's when most co-ops buy Orchid? Well, I needed a mana regen item, number one, because I needed a better way to stay on the map longer. And Eul's gives you a lot of mana regen, so it's actually very good for that. The cost is fairly inexpensive, relatively. It's like 2,800 or something like that. Stats it gives are okay. 10 intelligence is decent. It's all right. The mana regen part's really good, I would say. And the movement speed is really good also. The active is pretty good also. It's the 2.5 second cyclone, which means I can interrupt stuns, I can use it to dodge abilities. So for example, if I get Omni Slash by Omni Knight, or by Juggernaut, I can just use Eul's Scepter, and then I'm invulnerable for those 2.5 seconds. He also didn't buy a Diffusal Blade. If he has a Diffusal Blade, and pretty much every Juggernaut right now buys Diffusal Blade, he could also use Diffusal Blade to remove my Cyclone, and then I die anyways. But it gives me an option. If a Wind Ranger throws Shackle at me, and it's coming and I know it's going to latch, I can Eul's myself to dodge it, and then I don't get shackled. So that's basically what the point of Eul's is. Mix of both. Int, movement speed, you kind of want it to hit all of your bases, or it's probably not worth buying. It's very easy to be like, oh, I should get Eul's because I can dodge a stun. It's generally not worth it, because half the time you're not going to dodge a stun. It might just be better to buy like a Lincoln's. So, as you can see, my team is fighting and I am not there. That is because I am pushing the lane. I should have probably been looking here. I went to Eul's him because I was a little bit worried about dying, but the sad reality is that I'm comparable in farm to this Wind Ranger, so she basically just isn't going to be able to kill me.
Worthy tribute.
And I'm going to be chasing this guy because I want to make sure he doesn't get a TP out. Veil here, dagger. Don't know if he used Wind Run yet. I'm just trying to position my hero so that I don't get shackled. And then as soon as he starts to teleport, I can use the Eul's Scepter. So the coolest reason for getting the Eul's this game, and this is by far the best reason to get it this game, is because one of the only ways that we lose this game is a bad team fight. And one of the best team fight heroes that they have is Axe. Because if all 5 of us are very grouped, and Axe uses Blink Call on us with a Blade Mail, he could spin enough times, they just win a fight, you know? Especially with like an Illuminate, a Power Shot, all that stuff. We could just end up dying right there. So the Eul's is by far the best way to counter this, either against a Legion Commander who blink duels with Blade Mail, or against an Axe. Because you can't just stun the Axe, because your allies will still hit him, and they'll still deal Blade Mail damage to themselves. So the best thing you can do is Eul's them, Eul's the Axe. That way he's just in the air for 2.5 seconds. Your allies can't attack him. They're technically disabled, more or less stunned, but it doesn't matter because that means Axe isn't reflecting damage. And then after Axe's Eul's ends, you just kill them, because Axes that have Blink initiated and have not killed their opponents are pretty easily kiteable and are pretty much just food at that point. So that's my goal here. sustain, movement speed, cancel TPs, and counteracts as well. And like I'll even mess around like that. Walk forward, deny a range creep, because that's going to give this guy way less experience. Like playing around like this is all part of the strategy, and I'm basically just balancing pushing the lane, maybe looking for a kill, and continuing to farm. Because my net worth is just kind of propelling now. Like I was sitting really low before, but now because I can just easily approach waves, I'm just balancing my movement speed because of definitely wanted Yules there because I knew the rock would be coming. Yep, I should have anticipated the sounds here. And this was definitely the wrong way to blink, I think. So this is similar to the time in the jungle here where I blinked to the right. I think I just blinked in the wrong direction. I think I could have survived there. I got the blink off. I wasn't anticipating the silence, but I dodged the stun, so I think it was worth it. But I should have blinked instead of up, because the guy was already behind me, right? So what I should have done is reassessed when he missed me, and I should have blinked to the right. But I was so panicked when I got silenced that all I could think was like, I need to blink. And as soon as I had blink available, I was like, blink, you'll live. But I blinked in the wrong direction. If I blinked to the right, he wouldn't have been standing there to give vision of me. And then I could have either juked, moved through trees, waited like 5 seconds to blink again, but instead I was basically like, boy, I sure hope he doesn't cast a spell on me in point blank range, basically. So if you look at the net worth now, the game's extremely out of control. Like, we have like one of the most disgusting gold advantages ever, and that's mostly because these guys don't feel comfortable leaving their base. Now that's partially like a vision issue, but it's also the threat of pretty much any hero of ours can kill theirs if we catch them. And that could be like Sven's jungling, somebody comes to push out bottom, he ultis, blinks, kills him. That's super dangerous. If, like, I just killed Wind Ranger when she came top. Now she doesn't feel comfortable crossing like this barrier on the map without allies. So if I see her cross this barrier with allies, I know, oh shit, I can see all their heroes, and I know not to initiate. So if we just have vision control at this point, the game becomes very easy. I'm farming faster than them or equal despite being a support because I have AoE and I'm transitioning. And the game is just simple. So there's this like balance of like having gank potential. That's my cone dog, sorry. When you have all those things, then it just becomes pretty straightforward for you to get a big gold advantage. Sean draining most of his mana. My camera positioning there kind of sucked. I was focused on bottling Sean. Scrape the walls with your plastic cone. Oh, that was actually our global sounds. I just wanted to ulti him as he came down because I knew it would hit even if he spun. And now while we're winning the fight, I was like, hey, I'm missing some mana. Let's go collect more bounty runes. So I did that. Now I don't recommend doing this in most team fights, but I felt like I could get away with it this game because we were winning like a ridiculous amount. And as you can see from the net worth, I am more farmed than every single one of the heroes on their team. If this was a normal game and my team had gone about even, I would instantly TP bottom because this creep wave is very pushed upon our tower, and you don't want to let that happen because if anybody shows up bottom, they can instantly clear the creep wave and pressure your tower and possibly take it. But because we're stomping them and the game is about to end, it doesn't really matter, so I'll come bottom and attack their tower instead. Also building Lincoln Sphere because I wanted to lower their chances of being able to kill me, which would be Shackle Shot, Mana Leak, things like that. Culling Blade. Boy, did that guy die fast.
Yes, I am. Radiant's bottom barracks has fallen. Radiant's bottom barracks has fallen.
Yules. So much less damage ever. Like, it actually just counteracts the whole thing. It's so good. And now, hey, Axe initiated. You just kill him. You just kill him. It's so simple. This only lasts for 3.2 seconds. So if you just Yules him, his whole stun is gone. It's like his whole hero just sucks now. Just hard counter the hero. The downside is once he gets BKB, then it doesn't really matter. Once he gets BKB, it's like, can't really stop it anyways.
Radiant's top tower is falling. I felt
The Blind Light actually hurt me a bit because then the projectiles landed on me faster, but I could have picked up the Lincolns, I think. Also, if I had the
Radiant's top
fight
barracks
or the
has
ultimate
fallen.
orb in my inventory instead of the bottle, then I probably would have, maybe it would have lived as well. Would have been extra like 1 and a
Radiant's
bit
top
armor
barracks
and
has
an extra
fallen.
200
The
HP.
Dire
So
now have mega creeps.
you never know. So my build is a little bit more defensive maybe than a typical quad build, but it definitely felt fine in this situation to me.
Regeneration.
Kind of felt like Sean maybe should have gone Bloodthorn this game
Radiant's
instead of
middle
Daedalus,
tower is under attack.
because it gives you, the crit's not as good, but he could use it on like Wind Ranger to for sure hit through or evasion, for example. A small mistake he made here. So at this point, when he's being chased by this many heroes, the thing that you have to do is as soon as they are about to go high ground against you, you need to turn and fight. He had BKB active, he had his ultimate, and when they're running up this cliff, you need to turn and attack them as soon as they're hitting the cliff. Sorry about the audio. Because if he just turns BKBs, or ultis, and Mask of Madness right now, and just starts hitting this jug, he's going to cleave these guys behind. But instead, the moment that he turned and fought was a little bit later. And now he's cleaving in this direction. Whereas instead, like, he just got a 1500 damage crit. At least that's what it says before armor reduction. If he did that in the other direction, he would have gotten at least a triple kill. And now they start spreading up. Like, do you see how much damage this guy does? It's actually insane.
Radiant's
But
middle
unfortunately,
tower
because of the
is
time
under
that he
attack.
chose to turn and fight, like, he still almost killed every single one of them. It was very close. He was two-shotting heroes. Like, how much damage did he do? 7,000 damage. And they got, like, 3,400 gold from that. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. Like,
Radiant's
they're
bottom
not
shrine
going to
is
lose.
under
But
attack.
and now I will slowly kill shrines,
Worthy tribute.
collect bounty runes. I got the health perk because I
Radiant's
just want to stay
bottom
alive
shrine
longer,
has fallen.
and I'm vulnerable to
Radiant's
ganks since I'm a
middle
support.
tower under attack. Radiant's
Even though I
middle
have a lot of
tower
farm.
has fallen.
I placed all my wards because I wanted to get plate mail because that was like the only way I'm gonna die. Does he have a Deso? Yeah, he does actually. So one of their decent damage types is just physical and minus armor.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
And then I was gonna buy a Shiva's next, just so that I increase my survivability, gives me another way to disable
Radiant's ancient is under
Wind Ranger
attack.
hard countered by
Virtus Pro victory.
Lincoln Sphere in this game. So felt really good about this game. It did kind of fall apart too fast, I would say. If I was to estimate what happened, I would say that Sean basically got complete free farm. He was able to AFK jungle pretty much endlessly. And then he was also he also team fought well. In the fights that did happen in the early mid game, they all went well. Which is why if we look at some player network, you're gonna see these like little jumps kind of. Cheesecake. Like, you can't really tell because we just farmed like way faster than them. But this was Invoker and Sven. They were basically off to a good start, and by like 5 minutes, this little jump here, maybe like the courier snipe, things like that. It's like we won safe lane, we won off lane. Axe died three times? Twice in lane, and I solo killed him. So Axe died 3 times early. Wind Ranger died once that I solo killed her, and she had a tough lane. And the supports ran around not doing very much, which means Zeus somehow farmed like how does offlane Zeus sit at top net worth over the whole enemy team? That should never happen. That should absolutely never happen. So we all did way too good in our lanes, and I sniped the courier and pressured the lanes. And then basically at this point, when they're behind, they just need to get together and they need to group and gank, and they didn't do that well. They should have been like popping smokes with Juggernaut, Wind Ranger, and a support, and just killing people. But they didn't do that. They just passively farmed. And also Axe's Blink Dagger. Let's see what time it came. Axe's Blink Dagger didn't come until 16 minutes because he had a tough game. If this comes earlier, then it's easier for them to gank. All they need is Axe Blink initiating with a Keeper Blast. It'd basically be like Axe +1, and they can make a gank. But without that, it would have to be basically smoke ganks. Or it would have to be Earth Spirit jumping into disable as people run at the same move. And I think that even Wind Ranger was just AFK farming, basically. Wind Ranger didn't seem like she ganked very much. Maybe the times they did, it didn't go well, because it was like, we had already gotten the tier 1, and there was a lot of space that I could run around and escape. So we just split push better than them. They weren't able to get kills. They got their Blink Daggers late. And then the game is basically just over. Because at that point, we're like stupidly far ahead. Like this guy's got a Yasha. I don't know why I bought Blink Dagger here. That was kind of bizarre. Maybe he felt like he couldn't catch. But like Sean already had Mask of Madness, Echo Saber, and Blink Dagger. at the point that Jug had just gotten his Blink Dagger Yasha, which is disgustingly different. It's like a whole item ahead. It's like an extra 2,000 net worth or something. It's like way ahead, way ahead. So, very, very straightforward game. And then just a couple core important pickoffs, and the game was over. Like, look at this. 19 minutes. Took him like 12 minutes to farm a Desolator, which is not even that expensive. So, game was just very straightforward. So, yeah, support Quap. I think it can work, but I think you have to be good at supporting. You have to know where you can pressure, when you can pressure, what is safe to pressure. And if you do that poorly, it's going to probably suck. And if you don't feel comfortable split pushing, it's going to suck. And if you're against like a Storm Spirit and you're trying to split push this Quap, and it's the Storm Spirit core and the Storm Spirit had a good game, that guy's going to feed on you repeatedly because you're going to not be able to defend yourself from an Orchid at the same timing. So there's like a lot of hero matchup things that just might work or might not work that you have to be careful about. So that's pretty much it. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.